The Houston Texans, they take down the Jaguars 23-20. They improve to 8-5 on the year. But, watching this game in its entirety, I left really concerned about the Texans because after they come off their bye week, they're going to enter the toughest stretch of their schedule. They have to beat the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Titans to stay on top of the AFC South because the Indianapolis Colts are trailing and they're getting hot at the right time. Ever since they went back to Anthony Richardson, he's been playing way better than what he was prior to his benching. Their defense is playing well. And the Colts are one of those teams that they could come out of nowhere, sneak up on you from the division, and you end up losing your final game of the regular season to the Titans. And all of a sudden, you're outside looking in of the playoffs and the Indianapolis Colts are in because, before you play the Titans to close this season, you got 3 tough games against the Ravens, the Chiefs on the road, and the Miami Dolphins coming up. And it's hard to pick the Titans or it's hard to pick the Texans winning any of those 3 games. Right now, I feel like the Texans are on pace to finish 8-9 or maybe 9-8 at best. And if the Colts don't end up turning their season around and continuing to get hot with Anthony Richardson back at the helm, then maybe you can sneak away with the AFC title again or the AFC South division again. But, right now, man, you're leaking oil in the worst way imaginable because your star quarterback, C.J. Stroud, is in the slump. In the past 5 games that you've played in, he has 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. The offensive line issues have hindered the production of the offense. You can't really run the football that effectively. Joe Mixon, as good as what he has been this year, most of his big runs come due to, him making a guy miss, not really due to great blocking. And C.J. Stroud, his development has been hindered with him not being able to trust his offensive line, so he's overthinking things. His mechanics are off whack. You got red zone struggles. Your offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, who was a hot head coaching candidate to start this season, he's in the slump as well. And your defense has been carrying this team. And over the last 5 games that the Texans have played, they have not looked good. Even when they had that close loss to the Detroit Lions, that game was more impressive for the Lions to win off the face of Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions. Jared Goff threw 5 picks, and yet you still lost that game. If you were a quality playoff team, you would have beaten Detroit by at least 2 touchdowns. And the Lions are banked off injuries. And the Houston Texans, for as good as what their defense has been this year, your offense has just been a far cry from what it was last year. Last year, you had one of the better offenses in the league. C.J. Stroud was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league in terms of taking care of the football. This year, he's turning the pigskin over like he's Santa. And Christmas is only a few weeks away. And it looks like the Texans are trying to gift the Indianapolis Colts the AFC South division at this point. And I still believe in my heart that the Colts are going to get hot, and over these last 4 games, they're going to win out, and they're going to make it into the playoffs because the Colts only have to play one team with the winning record their final few games of this year, and that's the Denver Broncos coming up on the road. Then they got the Titans, the Giants, and the Jags. It's a really easy path for Indianapolis to steal this division away from Houston with how spotty they've looked over the last month or so, because this is not the team that I envisioned coming into this year. I thought that the Houston Texans actually were going to be the team to win the AFC, take down Mahomes, and go to the Super Bowl. But C.J. Stroud, he doesn't look like him right now. And let me ask you guys something. Where would you rank C.J. Stroud among all the starting quarterbacks right now? Because he's not top 5, and I wouldn't even take him top 10 right now. There's 10 quarterbacks that I would take before C.J. Stroud. This year, with how he has played, he's looked more like a top 15 quarterback than he looks like a top 5, top 10 quarterback. When you hear the name C.J. Stroud, you automatically think elite quarterback based off how great his rookie season was. But he has fallen victim to the sophomore slump. but it's not all his fault. The offensive line hasn't done him no favors. The play calling has not helped him at all. And this has just been a disappointing season for the Texans. Now, they can still turn it around. If they can win 2 out of their last 4 and they can get the 10 wins, I feel good about them potentially winning a playoff game in the wild card round. But I can't see them going any further than that, just with the issues that they have on the line of scrimmage offensively. And in the playoffs, if you can't win in the trenches, you already lost, because all the teams that you're going to be facing after the first round not only are better up front than what you are, but they are better coached than what you are. The defense is great, but we don't know about the offense. Pittsburgh's offense has a pulse. You know, the Ravens' offense is better than yours. The Chargers' offense is better than yours. Out of all the teams that we could see in the playoffs in the AFC conference this year, the Texans probably are going to have the worst offense out of all the playoff eligible teams. And that just shows you how bad this team has played over the last month. And their record shows they're 8-5, but you're not always what your record says you are. And these next 3 games that they have coming up are going to define how far the Texans go if they make it to the playoffs, or how embarrassing this season is going to end for them. This is make or break time for the Houston Texans now. Now is the time for the Miko Ryans and that coaching staff to come together, make the necessary adjustments so they can get this season heading in the right direction. Because, yeah, you got a better record than the Dolphins, but the Dolphins are not a team that you can underestimate, especially when you're playing them at home, because the Miami Dolphins only struggle late during the season when they have to play on the road in cold weather environments. They're playing in that cozy stadium that you have. Yeah, I could see the Dolphins beating you. I could see you losing to Kansas City and losing to Baltimore. You could lose your next 3 games and then be fighting for the division title in the spot in the playoffs the final week of the season, trying to hold off the Indianapolis Colts against the Tennessee Titans. I don't like how ugly things have started to become for the Texans offensively. It just is a complete mess. You're playing the Jaguars. The Jaguars suck. They're tanking for the first overall pick. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And for you to just look so lethargic during the game was just really depressing to watch. I thought this team, with all the hype they had coming in, were actually going to be able to be better than what they've shown up to this point.